Yes, people, and welcome to Sport Hub. And yes, you have heard that correct. It is no longer Let's Talk Premier League. We've rebranded, I'm afraid, because ultimately Premier League is sort of copyrighted, isn't it? So we were going to have to make that change at some point. So we thought we would take the hit now. But guys, welcome to Sport Hub, and I'm really excited for today. We've got Matt and Velv representing United and Liverpool. I think RJ's on his way as well, but we've got an awful lot to talk about. We've got three games that I really want to talk about, and that is United Liverpool, of course. Then we got Newcastle City and Chelsea Leeds. If we've got time, we'll touch on Arsenal. Although, just quickly, you two, Arsenal top four sorted, done, signed, sorted. Well, they're finishing top four.
You can't say that after 3 games for any team.
But realistically, Arsenal, but Arsenal are going to get top 4, right?
I will make that judgment after they play the first top 6 side. If they get a result, then
Or West Ham. No, I'm joking. They've still got to play United. As you know, but Liverpool were shit, so I still fully expect Arsenal to win that game. But a couple of comments. Dylan saying Sport Hub Sport, as I said, add to rebrand, add to in the end. Wolf is saying Sport Hub, loving it. We have signed a left back in the league for 13 million. And Velvishwan's going to get absolutely rinsed today, but deserved. But just quickly, RJ absolutely smashed the predictions last week, sat on 18 points. I am Matt second, me third, Charl fourth, Tyler came last. But let's crack on and let's start with Leeds and Chelsea, because this one, I mean, to say embarrassing, to say the least, would be an understatement, really. Leeds were mourning, well, not the death of Bielsa, but certainly acted like it. Do you think that they're still going to be mourning him, or are they fully under Jesse Marsh now, Matt?
I think they're fully behind Jesse Marsh now, unfortunately. I think he's actually a quite good manager, and the worst thing ever seen Leeds do well. But Chelsea, I don't want to call it an embarrassment because we're just after getting beat 4-0 by Brentford, but it was bad. It was bad what happened, but Mendy didn't help their situation. I don't think anyone really played well, and they need a striker, and I don't think Aubameyang's the answer to
that. I mean, there are no world-class strikers. I think that's where I'm at now. They're all tied down to big clubs. You got Kane at Spurs, you got Nunez at Liverpool, and you got Haaland at City. Who is it that they go and get? The only options are the likes of a Jamie Vardy and Aubameyang, unless you're going to just give Bozier a go up top and just, take the rough with the smooth and hope that he comes good. But that's not really a Chelsea way, is it?
I think they should bid for Callum Wilson. I think Callum Wilson would be class for them, in my opinion. 40 million bid, maybe, because he's 30.
Would Callum Wilson go there?
Yeah,
honestly,
for Champions League football, yeah. It's better for his England chances as well.
No, it's a good point. What about the likes of Ollie Watkins, or they're not good enough?
Yeah.
But are they Chelsea?
No.
I mean, there's talks of Anthony Gordon, 60 million. I think that's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I get that money in football is completely finished, but my God, I mean, some of the transfers we've been seeing, Gibbs White for 55 million. What is happening to the Premier League? I do not know. Money is just absolutely
ridiculous. You deserve a transfer ban if you spend 60 million on Anthony.
Mate, honestly, I would give every single team in the Premier League a transfer ban at this rate. I think you're all being ridiculously stupid with your money. And at some point, this is going to harm you, because if the money doesn't come in anymore, my God, Argyle are going to be in the Premier League because the rest of you are going to be bust, like realistically. So I'm waiting for that day patiently, whilst all of you then become Argyle fans because we're the greatest team in the world. But glory, Man United. Velv, sing it, twat. Emerson crossing balls to a big bastard Italian. Just need Souček in the bin, and we're good. I don't mind Souček. I've always rated him, but
I think he's a good player.
I thought he was a good player, but Velv, Leeds. I mean, Jesse Marsch was said that he would be very upset if Tuchel was on the touchline. Turns out it was the best thing to happen for Jesse Marsch's Leeds.
Yeah, I feel like Jesse Marsch, I've always rated this guy ever since in Salzburg, what he did with the attack of Haaland, Minamino, Hwang. Like, you can see his playing style, how he likes to attack a lot and also be resolute at the back, and it showed against Chelsea. People talk about how losing Rafinha and losing Calvin Phillips are going to hinder them, but so far, 3 games in the season, they've been doing well. And I want to speak on a few players here. Rodrigo got to goal scoring form now. I think he's currently the top goal scorer in the Prem. He's been on fire. Jack Harrison needs to get so much credibility. What he's doing for Leeds, especially on that left-hand side, he's getting the goals, getting the outputs. Outputs are important for an attacker, and he's been very good. The midfield has been very good. The defense, still early doors, but so far it looks good. He actually made Meslier look like a good goalkeeper for once. Yeah, I had to rate Meslier, and he just made him look like a decent goalkeeper. But yeah,
Did you honestly just say that, Velv?
About what?
Meslier is a class goalkeeper. He doesn't need to be looking good. I mean, I don't know if you were you asleep last season or the season before that, or I mean, is your head in the sand? I mean, I could go get the Nigel Pearson one and say, I mean, I don't think you can get your head in the sand. I mean, I can, but you can't. If you know, you know.
No, I just think with Messi, what the problem I have him with last season is he has like the shot stopping biscuit hands at occasions, and I feel like for him, I just tell him like he needs to work on that. Like if he works on that, then I think he'll become a top class keeper.
But I mean, Bielsa's style of football didn't really help a goalkeeper because it left him exposed pretty much every single minute of the game. I mean, teams would just chuck a long ball over the top of the defence, and Meslier would probably have to deal with a one-on-one. So I mean, to say that about Meslier, I mean, sometimes I wonder about your ball knowledge, and that one really has that offended me actually. I mean, I'm not even a Leeds fan, but that offended me. Like Meslier is a top class keeper. If I was United, Meslier is the type of keeper I'd look at.
He rejected us. I'm pretty sure we did try.
Nah, I think they need a Jan Sommer more because I heard he was linked to United.
Well, I just think United. I think United need a young goalkeeper who can play off the feet and not called Dean Henderson.
Like we already had that with Dean Henderson. Yeah.
We'll get to Dean Henderson, but I think he just divides the fan base completely. So this whole De Gea Henderson crap, I think you both just get rid of them both. I think it will be easier for the fan base to get behind someone different that isn't either of them two, because if you keep De Gea, you've got the Henderson fanboys who are going to go nuts. And then if you keep Henderson and let De Gea go, you've got the De Gea fanboys. I mean, if I was just honest, you lot should just cut ties with them both and just be like, right, both of you go, we'll get someone else in, because then the whole fan base might be behind them. But knowing United, they won't. Lanzi says, now we can never go bust. Have you seen the price of our pints? I did. I think that's ridiculous. Also, don't forget, guys, you can become a member of the channel if you want. So links all down below. Also, there's a link to our new merchandise shop. We're still working on improving all of that, but you can actually check that out if you so wish to. Big up the panel. Big up to Chris. Big up Chris. Daniel James can't dribble past one player to save his life. I thought Dan James, he's perfect for a Leeds under Bielsa. I don't know about Jesse Marsch, but he was for Bielsa. Velv has negative ball knowledge.
Wait, hold on. A few minutes ago, you just called Emerson the best left back in the league.
Velv, stick to dancing in the chat. Your low IQ doesn't belong on the panel, buffoon. Joke, Velv, big up Velv, love it. But we've spoken about Leeds, but we really do need to speak about Chelsea and the lack of ability to put the ball in the back of the net, which seems to be, difficult for them, to say the least. Now, the bit I don't understand is Kai Havertz is clearly not a striker. I mean, at Bayer Leverkusen, I don't think he played striker that often. He played as a 10. He's a creator. He'll create you chances. He'll create lots of chances. He won't score them. I mean, Matt, is Chelsea's lack of scoring goals going to be a huge problem? And if so, why did you get Raheem Sterling, whose middle name is Miss Chances?
Notorious for missing chances. Yeah. I remember certain Chelsea fans saying that we were in a relegation battle last week, and they're only 1 point behind them, so that's a bit mad. But yeah, I don't know why we got rid of Lukaku without replacing. I know he didn't want to be there, but he's under contract. He can't force. He can't force his way out.
I do think that
Lukaku's a funny one, but yeah, I think they would have been better off keeping him.
I disagree.
Send him loan after spending 100 million on him.
Yeah, but there's that show. Who actually bought Lukaku? Like, was it who the hell sanctioned that deal? Because
it was a stupid
crazy.
deal.
It's a Roman, big up RJ. Yeah, it's basically a
Roman
Roman signing
as well.
That's Jose proven.
Here's the thing. I don't think it's all on the attackers. I think they're in a similar situation with us. It's the midfield that's the problem for Chelsea. Like, I'm looking at that midfield against Leeds. What was it? Conor Gallagher and Jorginho in a pivot. Like, it's not good. Like, for me, because it's going on for the past few seasons. The attackers have not been scoring. Like, there's no way Raheem Sterling, who was scoring 20 plus goals for Man City, has come in and hasn't even scored a goal.
Yeah, but he gets more chances at Man City. That Chelsea doesn't get the amount of chances he gets at City.
Yeah, but the thing with Chelsea, they don't create enough quality of chances.
No, they do, but they just don't take them. Simple as that.
No. There's creating chances and creating quality of chances.
They're never going to create as many chances as Man City. They're not that kind of team.
Exactly.
That's why
it's probably down to the system. It's probably down to Tuchel's system, because
Tuchel's system works. It's just not the same as Man City.
It hasn't been working. Like in this calendar year, it hasn't been working, because Edouard Mendy has the worst save percentage in the 2022 in the league. The defense have been leaking goals left, right, and centre, and the midfield is getting run over.
I can't wait to talk about Edouard Mendy, by the way, because I remember Chelsea fans wanted to put him on the pedestal as greatest ever goalkeeper, and we need to talk. You lot, or you fuckers, we need to talk. Because I'm sorry, but Edouard Mendy, as I have said, had one good season. Literally, the definition of a one-season wonder. And big up to Russ. Thought he'd pop on and say hello. Big up to Russ. We love to see that. But as I was saying, Edouard Mendy, I mean, Chelsea fans, we need a dialogue, because you lot wanted to say that he was one of the greatest goalkeepers in the world, the best goalkeeper in the league, and
better than Alisson, better than Neuer, better than Courtois.
Better than Nick Pope.
Contender, Jorginho.
I mean, I would say that Nick Pope is better than Edouard Mendy. I would argue Dean Henderson is better than Edouard Mendy.
I don't know about that.
I would even go as far as saying Gazaniga is better than Edouard Mendy. And I know that sounds a bit radical.
Nasley is better than Mendy.
Yep,
here's the thing,
Mike Cooper is better than Edouard Mendy. Facts.
Yeah, that's pure fact. Here's the thing, that with Edouard Mendy, the only reason Chelsea fans got gas is just because he's just better than Kepa. Like, you could have gotten any goalkeeper that's better than Kepa. If you got Nick Pope,
is he better than Kepa? But is he better than Kepa? Because we saw Kepa under Frank. Well, yeah, but we saw Kepa with Frank Lampard, and that wasn't the easiest team to play in. But is he better than Kepa? Because I would argue that he's not. I would argue that Kepa is better, which I know sounds wild, but every time Kepa's been given the chance at Chelsea, he's not. Under two?
Kepa is a good shot stopper. He just makes some stupid decisions and stuff.
Yeah.
But he was cutting them out of his game. I mean, under Lampard, Jay made a lot of ridiculous ones, but realistically, I think Kepa's better than
I think it's down to the system, because with Kepa, he's a much better distributor than Edouard Mendy, like by far. If anyone thinks Mendy is good on the ball and is a good distributor, then I'm sorry, football is not for you. Just go find another sport.
I'd argue he's not even a good shot stopper anymore.
I mean, the worst save percentage in the league, 55%. That's poor.
Yeah.
Jan Oblak got slated for that last season, and people trying to tell me Edouard Mendy's world class. Like, come on, man, he's not world class. He's an okay keeper, and that's it. Like,
just on this one, Russ, that was under Frank Lampard. Even Neuer would have the worst save percentage in the league under Lampard. I mean, but every time Kepa's played under Tuchel, he's been fine, honestly. So I think Kepa needs to start the next game. I mean, how many more mistakes can Mendy make? I mean, I can think of 2 high-profile ones now. 2 from just one game, which was West Ham.
He cost Chelsea the Champions League against Real Madrid. Just passed it to Benzema. I remember, I don't know when it was in his first season where he almost scored an own goal by trying to distribute against Man United. He almost scored in the second
season against Fred. No, against Fred.
Sancho.
Yeah.
Fancy saying Kepa and Mendy might be the best goalkeeper pairing, which I can see that. I couldn't care if you were the manager. That's appalling. I mean, Russ, that's offensive because I would win you the league. Facts. And you would be lucky to have someone who is tactically aware like myself, who would do. Well, I would put. Well, Pep would have to quit football after I finished with him. He just wouldn't like me channeling my midfield's inner Roy Keane's, which is leg breakers, which is what I believe United tried yesterday. Although we'll get to that because there was an interesting tweet which I thought was quite funny. Big up Niall and the crew. Big up to Ravi, Velv, an okay keeper who won the Champions League. Buffon takes
Keita scored in a Champions League game and he won the Champions League. So what's your point?
We'll just disregard the fact that he helped us win the Champions League.
No, he didn't. And GoloKante was your best player in the Champions League tournament.
Mendy still helped.
I'm not saying that Mendy didn't. I'm not going to say Mendy didn't help, but he certainly wasn't the main contributor. That was Rudiger, who's now Real Madrid. Maybe Rudiger was the glue holding it all together. Maybe that's the thing.
He made a mistake in his Real Madrid debut, but yeah, I feel like not really Rudiger. I feel like the back three system.
You take the Rudiger out of Chelsea, but you can't take the Chelsea out of Rudiger.
And speaking of his replacement, Koulibaly, what on earth was he doing?
Very
small for the Premier League.
Yeah, he is too tall. That's simple as that.
So first he decides
5'9" to new 6'1", boys.
Selfish one. I don't think you can talk about red cards when you've got a striker headbutting people in his second game.
No, I back Nunes. Do you know why? He doesn't want to play with Henderson in the middle.
Well, I understand that, but he also
been offended by like Anderson as a centre back that you have to fucking headbutt him. Come on.
He also, I mean, the disrespect you've just shown to Anderson there, RJ, is absolutely
unforgivable. I'm not disrespecting Anderson. I'm just saying that, out of all the players in the biggest games, you know what I mean?
Did you not see some of the passes Anderson was pulling off against Arsenal? I mean,
I just didn't. Yeah.
It's mad. So the goalkeeper didn't help us win the Champions League. Russ is almost in tears now. Emerson and Zuma are the reasons you won the Champions.
Oh Lord,
Lansy is just so shameless. It's absolutely fantastic.
Wait, are you?
The Christmas tree formation that Chelsea play doesn't suit the personnel they have, and are getting Aubameyang. Do you know what? Aubameyang might do well in this Chelsea side. Once blue, never a blue. Velv, worry about Van Dijk. We'll get into that because we will talk about United. But swiftly moving on. let's talk about United Liverpool, shall we? And then we'll
I need music.
Bye, guys.
end
Thanks
on-
for having me on.
Oh,
we'll end
good
on
for you.
Newcastle City, because that was a game. I watched that game. That was a game and a half. But United Liverpool, I predicted United to win 7-0, which turns out was incorrect. Matt predicted them to win 3-0, and Charl and Tyler both predicted
What-
a 3-1.
What did I predict?
You predicted 2-1 to United.
Come on.
You got 5 scores correct. Like,
You got 5
right?
scores.
What can I say, boys? I it was a great week for me. Fantasy and real life.
You can
so we're all good.
just put the lottery numbers for this week. That'd be much appreciated.
Oh yeah, no problem. No problem. I'll DM you now. Just
The only league table that matters is most expensive pints table. We are top. I don't know if that's something I'll be bragging about. I was wrong about Lisandro Martinez. Well, there's a few things that we need to talk about, because firstly, we'll talk about the fact that your captain, the leader, the England captain, your captain, Harry Maguire, was dropped.
the captain against Liverpool.
No,
You just mean
fuck me, RJ. You really hate so one, right? You can just see the cogs in his head just turning very, very slowly. So, as I was about to say, your club captain, because he is actually your club captain, as much as you don't want him to be, RJ. Your club captain was dropped. Finito, done. Ten Hag was not having the mobility of a fridge at the back anymore. He had had enough. So he dropped him. Matt, Raphael Varane comes in. Masia, is it his name? Or
Malacia.
Malacia came in at left back for Burger King, and Dallo kept his place at right back, mainly for the fact that AWB really cannot play football. So, Matt, it was a completely new back four, and Martinez Varane looked like a very competent back too.
Yeah, they did for this game. But Varane and Martinez in his short tenure has shown signs of vulnerability in the Premier League. I don't know what to think about this win, because I've trusted these players before after a win like this against Man City with Ollie, the 9-0 against Southampton. And then they just go back to being useless pals of... Are you swearing this now? Yeah, shit. But yeah, I don't know what to think. I think the 4-0 against Brentford was unforgivable. The 2-1 against Brighton was unforgivable. This doesn't make up for everything, in my opinion.
It's a different team that played. He took out Maguire. He took out Luke Shaw. So he's taken out 2 English players, replacing with non-English players, and suddenly you look better. I don't want to say anything about English players. I may be English, but my God, some of the press are actually...
I think taking Ronaldo out of that game was actually the main,
I was going to get to that. I was going to get to that, because I wanted to ask RJ about that, because he is obviously the leader of Ronaldo FC. Ronaldo above United is the way it goes. But RJ, were you happy to see Ronaldo dropped? Because I thought it was a very good decision from Ten Hag, and showed that Ten Hag doesn't care about Ronaldo's ego, shall we say, even though his family care very much about his ego.
Obviously, I think it was a great idea to start with, obviously, because with Ronaldo, he's more of that centre forward who, you rely on him. When you take him away, we kind of had, we did rely on him last season, Matt, didn't we? 18 goals. That stat that came up.
We can really rely on him against Brentford. He just went up.
What I'm saying is, yes.
This year, it's Ten Hag.
I have the power, Matt. Don't ever cross me.
Okay, I was literally just saying that you can talk about last season all you want. You had Ollie and...
Look, what I would say is, it was a great performance. It was a great decision. I personally, I was very skeptical when he started Elanga. I'm personally, had my doubts about him. However, he had a good enough performance. Obviously, came off 45 minutes from Martial, which I think was a great decision as well. Just to spice things up for Liverpool. I think that midfield was okay. I mean, they didn't really have to do too much. I do think the defense really did show up today. Malassi was unreal. No more Fatty on the left hand side anymore. We'll actually have a young lad who actually cares about the club. As for Martinez and Varane, I think we've finally found our perfect pairing. But the only problem is, if Varane does get injured, what do we do? So he was injury prone last season. One way to find out. So
loan by maybe. Might be an idea.
I mean, this guy is always in the ER, so I mean, there's no point really at this point. So, did he?
Was he even?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he got sold. He's on loan. Yeah, but I wouldn't have sold him. We would have got rid of Maguire.
Can I just mention something there? RJ praised loads of people there, but 2 players that scored had the nationality of the English, and he didn't mention that once.
What? We do need to talk about Sir Marcus Rashford, because he has been absolutely obliterated by your fans on social media, mainly Mustafa, who still owes him an apology. But do you think, and let's try and spin this more positively,
okay?
And do you think that Rashford's first goal in, God knows, I can't remember, do you think this will help him?
100%. Well, I mean, obviously, yeah, we'll have to wait and see, of course. Obviously, actions speak louder than words. Obviously, it was a great performance, great goal. I think he did a lot of pressing in this game, which did show a lot of good signs. We are playing Southampton next, which, like I said, their defense is pretty bad, but their midfield and attack is pretty solid. So we'll have to watch out for that. I do think
they have Bazunu, that's why.
Like, you're funny, mate. Like, last time I checked, Van Dijk is not here anymore. So take the L, mate. Anyway, yeah, no. I don't care. I don't care. He lost. He's I'm not gonna say because we're monetized still. Anyway, yeah, like I said, great win. Happy for it. Can't wait for next week. And yeah, 10 out all the way. And also promote using the F-bomb of Sky Sports ads.
Sometimes I really do wonder about your logic. I really do.
I know. I'm actually just extraordinary.
Not there anymore.
It's
Well, he got sent back to his shop, just like Zaha did,
I just, as I said, RJ, I do wonder sometimes. Shouting get back to Trent and help him along. I mean, Martinez is good and all, but let's see him defend a big bastard Italian with Antonio pushing him into next week. I mean, that is going to be a thing. Ten Hag's going to have to be smart about how he deploys Martinez, because against teams like Antonio, West Ham with Antonio, and a real physical striker. I mean, Kane might actually tear him to shreds. Haaland is going to do unspeakable things to him in that back line. It's going to get brutal. So in them games, maybe I don't know what you do. I don't know, but it's going to be tough. Wolf says Maguire being dropped was the right decision. The Brexit brothers of destruction, Hendo and Milner in midfield, said it all in the starting lineup. What happened to empty Old Trafford? That wasn't the protest, though, was it? That was the protest that was set up on Twitter by some donkey who's probably never been to Old Trafford. But the protest at Old Trafford, if I remember correctly, was everyone was going to gather outside, then go in. They had a new poster, banner or something, and that's what they were doing. But United played very well. They brought in Casemiro to add to that, and I mean, it really is interesting. And Ten Hag dropping players, it was reported that he had made the players do like a 8.5 kilometer run because of the lack of running in against Brentford, and Ten Hag did it with them, and apparently got the players respected. I mean, these players have absolutely no right to disrespect anyone, because to be frankly honest, the shite they've paid, they can, they've had 3 managers, Ollie, Ragnick, and some of them have had 4 or 5. It's just a joke sometimes.
They've had a million excuses as well. Okay.
Mustafa, 0 respect to Sorashi. I'm sick of Andy Robertson agenda by some fans. This should be interesting. Only took a couple of years to drop Maguire. I am only scared of Haaland, Kane, Antonio, Lafayette, Martinez will be fine. Interesting. But let's talk Liverpool. And Velv, you now sit below Manchester United, who are favourites to go down. So does that also mean Liverpool are going down? To which, if that's the case, I'm all for this season. If United and Liverpool can go down to the Championship, that would be quite funny.
You know what? I'm not going to answer that question because I'm just going to talk about Liverpool, yeah? Because Bear Man are chatting so much shit.
Come on, Val. Come on, be a man.
People
Be a
don't
man.
want to fucking hear the truth. I just need to tell the
Be
truth.
a man. Just say what went wrong. Just say what went wrong. Just say what went wrong.
I believe he wants to, but you're just opening your mouth again.
No, he's just not. He's not. He's just rambling.
Let him talk.
Let me talk, please. Let me fucking talk, please. Let's start off what happened last night. Do you know what? I'm going to give you a match rating right now. Alisson 0, Trent 0, Van Dijk 0, Gomez 0, Robertson 0, Henderson minus 256, Milner minus 272, Elliott 0, Salah 0, Firmino 0, and Luis Diaz 0, Carvalho
To be fair,
10.
I thought Luis Diaz was quite good when he was on the pitch.
Yeah,
Look, Velv, I'll be honest, Velv. We asked for an explanation, not for a rating.
Can I flip and finish, please? Like, come on, man. Here's the thing, yeah. Yesterday is no excuse. No excuse to lose to that United side. Last week they got battered 4-0 by Brentford, and this time you decide to let United give United their first win of the season. Let's start with this team selection. What on earth, Klopp, were you thinking? Starting Henderson as a 6, just to drop Fabinho, Milner as our left centre mid, Henderson and Milner in 2022/2023 season. What is going on? And you're relying on Elliott, a 19-year-old, to carry that midfield. That is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And it's all down to Jurgen Klopp, man. Like, it's Klopp's fault. Like, why is he... Hang on for a second, just...
As he was saying...
Jurgen Klopp, which I think is a brave move for any Liverpool fan, because top reds normally don't approve of sort of behaviour. What was that, Val?
I'll be right back.
Proceed.
Do something.
It's okay. We can do some show filler. I'll read some comments out. RJ sings "But We Claim Man United." Make Velvet eat that song. Let's not. Drunkish and wasn't confident with the Brexit Brothers of Destruction. Hendo, Milner in midfield. I mean, RJ, when you saw Liverpool put Milner and Henderson in midfield, did that give you a little bit more confidence, thinking all they've got to do is outrun these two?
I'll be honest, when I saw that and I saw McTominay on the other side, I was thinking, Jesus Christ, who has a worse midfield? It was a good comparison, but look, I think as much as Henderson's done for the club, I think his legs are not as good as they once were. He's not doing enough work like he used to. Back then, I think you said it back then or something like that, he used to help Trent a lot, where he would literally, Trent would go forward, he would go back, but that did not happen last night. Trent was more open than he was very open. Let's just say that, and it was a great experience to watch, obviously, in a pub, and I think United deserve the 3 points. I don't know what he's saying that we didn't deserve it or anything like that. To be fair, I mean, they've been poor all season so far. Haven't won a game yet. They shouldn't have won against bloody Chris Palace, if we're really honest. It was just a Luis Diaz, hail from grace, that shot, to be fair. And then their first game was, Mitrovic. Yes, Mitrovic kind of sent them packing. So yeah, that was a good old moment. Oh, Matt, you're back.
There are a couple of options that Liverpool have got, though. There are a couple. I mean, anyone saying, "Oh, they're going to go buy Bellingham," you don't understand football. Please leave, because you clearly don't know how the
He's going to
FSG.
Real Madrid, man. Like,
Well,
He's
these
not
top
going to
red
Real
teams
Madrid.
it
just
doesn't
What do you mean?
there's a couple of options that Liverpool have got if they can get some players back from injury. One of them is Curtis Jones, who I do rate very highly, who right now has to be starting in that midfield, because ultimately you look at the is Curtis Jones better than Milner? Yes. Is Curtis Jones better than Henderson? At this precise moment, yes. Well, that's a bit. Would a midfield three of Fabinho, Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott not just be a bit more dynamic than, Brexit?
I guess, yeah, but when you can't really trust a player that just came back from injury, you have to bring them back slowly. Do you know what I mean? You can't.
No,
just,
I'm
I'm gonna speak on it. It's so obvious. It's a midfielder we need to sign, not specifically a left CM, because I think Curtis Jones is a left CM, and Carvalho when he came on as the left central midfielder, we looked very good. Left centre mid is not a problem. Is that right? Centre mid is a huge problem for Liverpool. You saw yesterday how much Trent got exposed. And I'm not saying I'm not blaming the midfield for Trent, because Trent was shocking yesterday. His lazy defending for that first goal was embarrassing. How you letting Elanga go like that is not good at all. But when he's bombing forward, your right centre midfielder has to drop deep and become as that third centre back, so that Trent can do what he's doing going forward, and that that midfielder can cover for him. We don't have that at the moment, and it's a huge problem when
do,
Klopp
do
has
you
too much
think it's an
loyalty.
element? Do you think it's an element of teams have just worked out how Klopp plays and know how to do and how to break him down, and your weaknesses with that high line has just been exposed week in, week out by almost every team? Doesn't it get to a stage where Klopp has to think, okay, maybe they've sussed this bit out. I need to rejuvenate. I need to come up with a different way, because that's something a Pep would do. Pep would see something's not working and then go and change it and try a different formation. If I think of the greatest manager of all time, Sir Alex Ferguson was famous for it. Started off with a 4-4-2. Then Mourinho brings a 4-3-3. Fergie switches to that. Do you think that there's an element that Klopp needs to do something different? And there's an argument: was that extra contract a mistake? Because ultimately, I don't. Honestly, is his heart still in it now? You've come so close to winning a quadruple, but you didn't achieve it. I mean, is this what we're seeing very much with a bit like the Spurs with Pochettino era? Are we seeing it come to an end because you've got so close to winning ultimately the ultimate prize in world football, which is a quadruple? You've come so close to that, but because you couldn't get there and couldn't get across the line, you've missed the title by another point. You missed the Champions League because you couldn't defend. Do you think that there comes a point where there needs to be a different voice in there? I mean, or a different tactic? He needs to do something. It seems like the same management team is still there. And I think, again, when I go back to the Fergie era, he used to make changes to his coaching team. And that would bring a freshness, because ultimately every workplace, every person needs a freshness every now and again. And Fergie was ultimately so good at doing that by just changing a couple of his coaching team, bringing it. He had Steve McLaren at the start, and then he brought in Rene Muhlstein and all of this. He kept freshening it up, and that brings a new voice in, and that brings a different perspective, and that helps keep it fresh. Do you think it's just gone a bit stale? No.
Here's the thing. He's not going to change the system, because he wants to follow his philosophy, which is the gegenpress, and if he wants to do it, fine. If you're going to do it, you need to learn how to be ruthless with some players in this team. I said in the space earlier, if Klopp was managing City, this would be his lineup, this current City: Joe Hart, Kyle Walker, Ruben Diaz, Vincent Kompany, Fabian Delph, Fernandinho, Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Raheem Sterling, and Gabriel Jesus. Why? Because he's too loyal to these players. Like, Here's the
Are
thing.
you Klopp, are you?
I'm not Klopp out, but here's the thing.
Sorry.
This is it's probably going to be quite outrageous statements. Like,
Sounds like that, to be fair.
if Klopp does sign a midfielder, and this season, if he doesn't deliver either a Premier League or a Champions League, then I'll be leaning towards him possibly leaving. Because how many times do
So
I
you
have
relied
to
on
wait?
him to get a Champions League, then?
Because here's the thing, Pep is running away with the league. I'm
No, he
sick and
isn't.
tired.
Arsenal are
here's the
top of
thing.
it.
Arsenal are top of the league, and
I'm sick and tired
I'll
every
tell
season.
us running away
Losing the
with the
title just
league.
by 1 point.
someone we have Luke that he'll be
1890,
fucking happy to hear that.
1890. Why did we lose the title? Oh, because we didn't sign the
Because
bill
you
for
got less
Key
points than Man
in
City.
some.
Yeah, that's fine.
Relax.
It's not tight. Oh my god!
No, but I do. I get what you're saying.
You didn't win. You didn't win all your games. That's why you didn't win it.
Why'd you
Oh, I
last
get,
season?
I get what you're saying, but let's go to some comments. So, Liverpool, we are hospital FC of injuries. NHS Anfield is peak man. I would have started Carvalho, but against United, I mean,
I would have
I
actually.
suppose Jurgen didn't have an easy decision because can you really put Carvalho in at Old Trafford against Manchester United? And that would be risky to say the least.
Yeah, he should have.
I mean, it was a risk playing Harvey Elliott.
When
season.
If that had
Carvalho
worked last night, you would have called it a masterclass.
Well, yeah.
No,
of course,
came
some
on,
Liverpool.
yeah.
1 minute, guys. This is 1 minute. Of course, some Liverpool YouTube channels will be giving themselves praise for calling Liverpool's downfall. I'm mentioning no names. He don't deserve.
No, I mentioned their names, but the top Redmen TV can go suck themselves.
Costas over Robbo should have been the choice to start.
No.
I'm not even confident versus Bournemouth. Pep Linders for me should be criticised as he's part of the coaching. Well, it should be all, shouldn't it? But it's every single one of them has to take responsibility. There's no one who can hide from this. You know, when you're losing games like this, everyone has to take responsibility. You can't just say, "Well, no, I like Pep Linders, so he can be fine." No, everyone has to take responsibility when you lose. You lose as a team, you win as a team. But that's complete bullshit, Velv. If you're going to try and argue with that, it's very simple. In football, you win as a team, you draw as a team, you lose as a team.
I know
everything is
as
a team.
I know it's everyone, including the coaches, including the medical staff as well, because I don't know what they do behind the scenes with the injuries.
They're giving people illegal inhalers all the time. That's what they're doing.
They ran out. That's why they're not here, lads. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So, allegedly.
Yeah, but now I'm hearing nonsense like people playing Pep Linders' book. The reason we lost yesterday, his book. Like, come on, man, let's be real.
We lost because we played better than you. That's what
I said Pep Linders should be. I said Pep Linders should be criticised, not because he wrote a fucking book.
Yeah, he should be, but not for stupid reasons. Because he wrote a book.
Pep Linders is the assistant. He's the assistant manager, so yes, of course, he's got to take responsibility, but not because he wrote a bloody book.
But what I'm hearing from the fan base is because obviously Klopp doesn't want a midfield.
Honestly, I don't really care for your fan base because they're stupid, as are United's fan base, and that's why only a select few I even talk to, because to be honest, both your fan bases are a disgrace to each other. I'm not going to lie. I mean, yesterday, and I will touch on it, you saw the standard Hillsborough jokes, Munich jokes. I think both your fan bases are vile and disgusting, genuinely. I genuinely, there's a reason I only interact with a select few United and Liverpool fans. That's because I think both your fan bases are just vulgar. I think, honestly, I try not to be too harsh on both of your fan bases, but I think both your fan bases are just vile human beings, cretins. I mean, I don't even know what to call them. They're just disgusting. And that's my rant over. I think, as I say, I think both your fan bases are fairly abhorrent. And yeah, I mean, that's where it is. Ravi says, Velv, Redmen TV were the game there. Every game, aren't they?
I don't care if Redmen TV. Do you know what they give him player ratings to Jordan Henderson? They're giving him 7. I know. Do you know what they gave Milner? Yeah, you said yesterday for James Milner that James Milner ran on the pitch. He showed heart. He showed passion. He shouted at Van Dijk. I gave him like, what's his passion, desire? Come on. If you want passion and desire, put me on the pitch. I think all of us here could be professional footballers if you show passion and desire.
I can show passion and desire on the pitch. I mean, if you're going to pay me that money, I will. Although,
unfortunately, I'm a mentality midget, lads. Unfortunately,
I would I would prefer to be at
So would
United
I,
because they'll give
apparently.
me United would give me a ridiculously long contract on high wages.
God bless
So
you.
I prefer United's pay structure to Liverpool's. If I have to join a team and I have to just show passion and desire, I'll just join United because they'll give me a longer contract and more money. Which ultimately is the issue at Liverpool. Your pay structure prevents you from signing world-class players. And the players are also about 5-6 years older, not the same as they used to be. I'd agree with that one. But moving on, because we could talk about United, Liverpool for forever. But just quickly, RJ, Bruno plays better without Ronaldo, doesn't he?
I'll be honest. I just think based off yesterday's performance, I think the morale of the team has definitely improved.
RJ, don't you dare think I'm doing this over one game. Think back to Bruno prior to Ronaldo, then think of Ronaldo and Bruno, and then think of yesterday's game. Put all of that information together. Now give me your answer.
I think just in general, I think everyone plays better without Maguire because not only does he...
That is not the... Hold up a minute.
I don't care. I'm not answering.
That is not the question I'm asking. I'm asking, does Bruno Fernandes play better without Ronaldo in the team?
How can Maguire affect a centre attack?
I think he did. I think for this game especially, and I'll tell you why he might have done better.
Don't encourage RJ to try and talk about Maguire. I want him to talk about why Bruno is better without Ronaldo.
I think especially with today's game, I think when he got the captain's armband, I think he definitely... I don't know. I think there was there are a lot of responsibility fell on him instead of Ronaldo whenever he played. So I think he definitely wanted to work, twice as hard as everyone else and had that winner's mentality. That's why you saw him press every 2 seconds. I do think probably, if we're basing off that game in general, obviously, last few seasons you can't really compare because we had different managers and all that. And, like I said,
before Ronaldo came.
Well, that was with Ollie. So you're going to say Ollie was a great manager who knew how to use...
No. I'm just... You could talk about Bruno under Ollie without Ronaldo and Bruno with Ronaldo under Ollie's tenure. That's actually the fairest comparison because you're not then comparing a Ragnick or a Ten Hag. You're comparing Bruno under Ollie and Bruno Ronaldo under Ollie. That for me is the fairest comparison.
You backed RJ in that corner here.
No, so shut up, you. I'll back you in the corner on fucking Thursday if you're not careful. MMA show, guys. Make sure you watch it. Anyway, there's the Pro Bowl. Look, that's what I was saying about last night, right? And like I say, I am going to include Maguire because he does play a big effect in this team and how we play in general. Because when you look at him, obviously he's one of the biggest centre backs we have. And granted, he should be one of the best, with, on the ball and obviously with headers as well, when he just isn't. I think, yes, they kind of showed how when we don't have him and Shaw, it's a lot better for the team in general, I believe. So I think...
So you just literally channeled your inner Boris Johnson to avoid answering that question. Maybe I'll get a straight answer.
You're welcome.
Matt, Bruno, he plays better without Ronaldo, doesn't he?
Yeah, he got 50 goal involvements with Ronaldo in his first season. So it's I don't know how RJ stepped away from that. It's awful.
I think the issue with Bruno is he very much for me needs to be the main man. He needs to be the man that a lot of people look to. He needs to be the one that can take a few risks and not look to be trying to feed Ronaldo goals. Because I don't think that's Bruno's game, essentially. He's a goal-scoring midfielder. He's not a De Bruyne, and these comparisons with De Bruyne need to stop because they're two different players. Bruno is a goal-scoring midfielder. He reminds me a bit of a Frank Lampard. De Bruyne is one he's the assist king. He'll create assists out of nothing. So that's the thing, and ultimately Ronaldo impacts, I think, everyone. I think he impacts Dalot. I think he impacts Rashford, Sancho, Bruno. I think he impacts them all negatively. I think if I was United, I would be starting a front three of Rashford, Martial, Sancho.
Did you
And
see the
fight
front
me.
three, the way they overlap? They
Interlinked,
yes.
interchanged.
You can't do that with Ronaldo because he just stands there.
No, I did like, because you especially with Sancho and Rashford, you did see them two sort of interchanging quite a bit, and I thought that was quite good, and you could see the link up play. And I don't think we talk enough about the Jadon Sancho goal. But before we talk about Sancho, Velv, do you want to talk about what Van Dijk was attempting to do? He must have had a force shield around him.
In the words of expressions I just heard today, put his arm behind his back like he's a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. Looks like he's about to transform. Like, I don't know what he was doing.
Go Power Rangers.
It's lazy defending. He's been doing this for a while, and no one wants to call it out. Like, I think now you saw my tweet about what I put earlier. Like,
I've seen many.
Van Dijk's faults for the goal. People were blaming Robertson.
I've seen his bare ass cheeks out in a Brazers thing. I've seen him put in a tutu. I've seen all sorts of unspeakable things done to his image. But you wanted you lot wanted to put him in a debate with Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, Nemanja Vidic. I mean, have some shame. Have some shame.
And Stam, they wanted to put him as the best centre back of all time.
Yeah. But what I found so frustrating was his reaction to Milner. What Milner, every right, told him off, and I didn't appreciate Van Dijk's reaction to it.
But you just slated Milner.
For me, Milner should have slapped him in his face. I see Mane do it too. I see Mane slap Wijnaldum in the face, so Milner do it to him. It's good. And here's the thing: we can't even bench him.
Just a quick one. We do not
no one
condone violence.
We can only play Sepp van der Berg. Because for me, generally speaking, all of the backlash should be dropped. Like people saying Tsimikas should start for Robertson. Fine, if you want to start Tsimikas over Robertson, fine. But I just want you to keep the same energy for the other defenders who've been much worse.
Do you think the issue that Jurgen's now got is you ain't got a spare right back? Joe Gomez is your spare right back because you let Neco Williams go.
No, Callum Ramsey's injured as well.
Yeah, I think it was first with Calvin Ramsey. Yeah, we bought Calvin Ramsey. He's injured. We loaned Conor Bradley to I think Bolton, and he's already shushing every fan that's there. So, yeah. And
rightfully so.
Also, centre backs, Klopp played GoloKante in a friendly, got injured, so he's out for a while. I can't rely on Matt Phillips because he doesn't have the pace.
Not really Klopp's fault that GoloKante got injured, but moving to the other side, Jadon Sancho. I mean, the composure for him to do that. I mean, Matt, I'll ask you first. I mean, that was a decent goal from Sancho.
Yeah, the fact he had the balls to have that time against Liverpool is mental. Instead of pass, the easy option would have been. I think if Ronaldo had been on the pitch, he would have passed to Ronaldo. I'm not even.
Were you impressed that he said
Ronaldo? Lad, we're too happy.
Were you happy that he sent James Milner packing to Zimbabwe?
Yeah.
Out of all the fucking countries, Zimbabwe. Come on, man.
Yeah. It was. I was trying to think.
Milner was playing with Sancho.
He was saying Milner was playing with Sancho.
They were linking up play together.
I mean, it takes a lot for it does take a lot for Scott McTominay to be the third best midfielder out of six.
I'm not even.
Is impressive.
I'm not kidding. Give me Scott McTominay. I will take him right now. Give me him. Give me Fred. I will take him right now.
I will
Fred
say.
Actually does start for you right now.
I will say. Everyone slams McTominay, but can we also just respect that McTominay has never actually been played in the position that he needs to be played, which is a box-to-box. Every single manager, because they've never been backed, has tried to force Scott McTominay into the DM, and everyone has realised that Scott McTominay is not a defensive midfielder. Now that Casemiro's come in, you might get to see Scott McTominay play as an 8 which would be something I think is remarkable. I think that would be incredible. The scenes. It could be something else. I also think this gives Ten Hag a choice, because I don't think you can play Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno. I do think McTominay or Fred or Van der Beek need to be in there with Casemiro. So I do think you're going to still see a lot more of McTominay. I think you'll see more Fred. And rotation will be key. You've got the Europa League, you've got the FA Cup, you've got the Carabao Cup, we've also got a Winter World Cup. We've got so many things. It's one of them. Ravi says, question, will Maguire be benched more often? Yes. Yes, I think so. I think Ten Hag tried for the first couple of... I think Ten Hag for the first couple of weeks was like, I'll trust Maguire, see what he can do. Maguire's burned that bridge now. I think he's lost Ten Hag's trust, essentially. But also, you look at form. I mean, Maguire, for me, will probably start Europa League games now. I think he will be that. Or Ten Hag will go, look, I'm not going to use him, just sell him, which would be easiest. And maybe this was his intention all along. Maybe this was actually Ten Hag's plan all along, which is, I'm still going to name Maguire captain. I'm going to play him for the first couple of games, let go tits up. Then I'm going to put him on the bench. He doesn't have to remove the captaincy of him. All he just needs to do is not start him, and then he can't be captain. See the logic there? Like, you know, it's one of them. I think Lindelof is a better player than Maguire. I think he's better on the ball. Maybe I think they've both got a similar mobility skills. I think both are very slow, but the difference is Lindelof is very good on the ball. I think that's one thing you can say. Lindelof has definitely got above Maguire. So it's one of them. Ravi says, who's this Gapco United are getting? Well, there's lots of rumours, aren't there? There's rumours you're getting him. There's rumours you're getting Anthony. I mean, it's one of them.
This is ridiculous for Anthony, by the way.
There's loads of players we're linked with, and it's just like I said, you know, transfer windows in less than a week, so we'll see what is true, what isn't true.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll do something based on the transfer window. I'm sure we'll come up with a plan. But I just want to briefly touch before we wrap up on the Newcastle Man City game. But the first bit I want to touch on is the red card that was overturned by VAR. Now, as the rules are written, I don't think that was a red card. But Jamie Carragher put quite an interesting tweet out saying that in the future he thinks that type of tackle is going to be a red card. Because ultimately, he said, why can you just do that? Why can you just take someone out with no intention of getting the ball? So, Mal, I'll start with you again on this one. Do you think that in the future may become a red card? Because I can understand from 2 points of view. You know, from a Trippier point of view, he's just not wanting Kevin De Bruyne to get past him. But then Kevin De Bruyne is like, you've just taken me out. He went knee height as well, which made it look a little bad. Do you think that in the future may become a red card offence?
At the time, I didn't think it was a red card, because obviously I don't have the rules written beside me for the exact reasoning for red cards and shit. But yeah, I thought
they said it was for reckless play, I think, aggressive and reckless.
I thought it should have been a red card regardless. He didn't go for the ball. He could have injured De Bruyne by doing that. I thought it was endangering the players, so it should have been a red card.
That's the reason they went for it. It was endangering the player, but it was overturned by Jared Gillett, and I saw a lot of people start to question Jared Gillett. I mean, are we all forgetting this is a guy that I'm sure we've all seen a clip of him mic'd up in Australia with the microphone. I'm sure we've all heard that clip, you know, the one where he's talking to the VAR in Australia. Yeah, Velv's heard it. Matt, you heard it? Everyone's heard that. Surely everyone's heard that clip. But
I probably have.
He's a fantastic referee, and I thought some of it I thought was a bit out of order, because at first I didn't understand how it was a red card. I didn't think it was a red card at first viewing. I then looked at the replays and I was like, I'm still not giving that a red card. But I guess I haven't refereed for about 5 years, so I'm a bit more old school. But it's Is it a dirty tackle? Yes. Is it endangering De Bruyne? No. Is it reckless? No. All he's done is basically tripped up De Bruyne. Yes, he's done it a bit more than that, but that's
It's
essentially
possible,
what he's done.
It did hit his
I think
knee.
red card should
I think- I think what it was, if I am correct on it, his 2 feet went in. If I'm pretty much, and I think when you look at that, his intent wasn't just I'm just going to shove him out of the way to stop play. His intent was I'm going to make sure this guy does not continue with the ball. So I thought it was a red card when I saw it. I thought Trippier's off. There has to be no chance he gets off. Maybe it might have been yellow, but like I said, if I was officiating, 100% a red. You know what I mean? Because I think not only was De Bruyne's safety at risk with that tackle, but it was just stupid decision by Trippier. Obviously, he was trying to do best for a team, but that could easily just cost him, a spot on the pitch. Obviously, that's what I think.
I honestly, I don't believe that was a red card ever. I mean, maybe I'm looking at a different angle, but I don't ever think that was a red card ever. I mean,
it wasn't like a dangerous tackle. Even for me, I think red cards should be given. Like for say I'll give you an example. Romero against Southampton. I don't know who he took out. Was that 19-year-old Belgian DM? Like Romero literally takes out the guy, and that I argue that challenge on the Southampton guy was worse than what Trippier did to De Bruyne. Whereas Trippier's getting red sent off, but obviously got overturned. Whilst those challenges that Romero did is not getting looked at. So for me,
I do understand why people are saying it should be a red card. I'm not saying I'm not disagreeing. Well, I am disagreeing, but I don't think you're wrong. Essentially, I think it's on the precipice. Really, it's on that line for me that it could be a yellow, it could be a red, depending on the justification that the referee gives. If I could speak to Jared Gillett, get an information on why he came to that decision, I could ultimately probably understand it and ultimately agree with him. But I also think it was right for him to be given the opportunity to have a look at it again, because it is on that line. And ultimately, we want to see a game finish with 11v11, because that game was fantastic. I really enjoyed the game. I think it was fantastic.
Given the season so far.
And we don't want to see games ruined by a red card. And I really do agree that red cards should only ever be used as a sort of, you have no choice really but to give a red. If it's reckless, if it's endangering an opponent, I'll agree with both of them. But not for that. I don't think that should ever be a red card. Because why? We don't want to ruin amazing games of football like we saw there by having a player sent off, because then Newcastle just suddenly take off St. Maximin and put another defender on, and then we don't see St. Maximin trying to take Kyle Walker a new one, and that's ultimately where I stand at that. No, he was wrecking him a new one. But just quickly to touch on Newcastle, they've got Sven Botman, who's a player who I've rated very highly. Almiron has told Grealish to go suck one, which I thought was quite...
disappointed Almiron. I think Almiron should have went to Grealish's face and celebrated in front of him.
Oh, I completely agree. I think ultimately, I think Jack Grealish is, and I've never liked him. I actually just repulsive guy. I do just think Jack Grealish is fairly repulsive. His attitude stinks like crap. And I just
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah. Oh, how we finally agree now. Well, I knew you would finally pop on about him.
The issue I've got with it is this is a fellow colleague. Yeah, I know you play for different teams, but that's still a human. And when we're talking about mental health and how important mental health is, by Jack Grealish acting like a drunken, absolute donkey, and I must say, what did he do last season to win City that title? Nothing.
Exactly. You can't be speaking out.
I don't.
Passion, desire, and mindset.
I don't really understand the ego he's got for doing diddly squat. Like, my goodness, do you know what? Me and Jack Grealish contributed the same to Man City winning that title last season. The same, nothing. You know, he didn't score goals last season. He didn't create assists. In fact, Pep benched him most of the time. I mean, I don't get where his ego comes from. So I don't really understand why he went
for that. Colin Savage a cunt, or whatever.
Yeah.
The player was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it. I mean, RJ, if you want to slam into Grealish, I mean, be my guest.
Oh, you know, I was always right from the beginning, lads. It's just, you know, eventually you saw the light and you saw what a massive dickhead he is. So
I've never liked him, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, you supported him.
No.
No,
I've never even wanted him in the England squad, if I'm being completely honest with you. Didn't.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't take him in Ireland. Let's be real. I'd like I said, I'd take any day of the week over him.
I like Declan Rice for England. I'll accept Declan Rice, but Grealish, I didn't even want him in there. I see nothing in him. I genuinely, and I think we're seeing that now because yes, he's won a Premier League now, but he achieved nothing for that. And one day, I'm sure he will look back and think, do you know what? I was a bit of a shit footballer, because he ultimately is. You know, he should never have left Villa because Villa suits him perfectly. He's the main man because he's average. And I think we see a lot of it where we see players just put on this pedestal where they do not belong on it. And we've seen it many a times. Jack Grealish is no better than a Theo Walcott or an Aaron Lennon. I mean, he's an Aaron Lennon. He's an average player who can just do a few step overs. That's it. I can't really do much more.
He's a bit harsh, but I don't think he's the player that people think. Do you know what it is? It's the eye test merge. It's the eye test people.
Oh, don't even get me started about that.
No, here's the thing.
Wait, who?
But I don't care if
eye test merchants.
I don't care if you do flicks or tricks. Yeah, if you're an attacker, your job is to score goals or assist them. If you're not doing that, then you're not a good attacker. I like that same logic for Hudson Odoi, Saint Maximin for the past few seasons, and I'll apply the same logic for my players, Luis Diaz and Darwin.
The only time I'll accept the not using the stats is on the likes of Paul Scholes, who were always getting the pre-assists, and people laugh and talk about pre-assists, but they're an actual thing because you got the assist, but what happens just before that? Because an assist could just be he's put the ball through, but a lot of what Paul Scholes used to do was the work just before the assist, so it was switching that play, doing that long ball, you know, that diagonal pass. You know, he used to do a lot of the pre-assists. That's the only time I would argue, okay, an element of the eye test needs to be included. But I actually think players should be doing both, because De Bruyne looks fantastic on the football, looks brilliant and gets assists. Even Bruno looks good on the ball, looks comfortable on the ball and gets assists, gets goals. You know, Sanchez.
Thiago does the pre-assist.
Thiago is fantastic, I will agree.
Like, it's like I always play eye test if you like compare it, say like Eden Hazard versus Mo Salah. Then yeah, you can add the eye test because both of them obviously got the output, and then you add in the conversation. But when you're talking about
Hazard wins that conversation
100%.
Yeah, Hazard 100% wins that.
No conversation.
I won't do this now, but we'll do it another time. But like, yeah,
there's no need to do another time. Like,
RJ, you want Ronaldo in this United team, so I don't take your opinion seriously.
What? Can you speak for me now? What? Can you speak for me?
But just quickly, because we did just divert. I mean, it's quite clear that City are probably going to win the league. I think, you know, there's not many. There's not many of us stupid enough to bet against City.
No, it's the Arsenal fans now. They're in a title charge.
No, I think Arsenal. I think they'll get top four. I mean, I've been very impressed with some of their signings. If they can,
Jesus, I've been telling Jesus he's a
Zinchenko's been their best
signing.
one, I think. Zinchenko's been one of them.
Zinchenko is the most. I mean, he was
Zinchenko's
top.
honestly.
He was
Saliba
top
contract's
five.
been massive.
He was top five, wasn't he, for technical players at Man City? So Zinchenko
Mhm.
was an absolute steal.
You know, he has like the highest win.
Jesus is incredible player. So
I tell
getting
you,
them two straight away was fantastic. But
once they add,
they're also going to add Pedro Neto into that, and that is absolutely insane.
Pedro.
Getting him in. You've got Saliba, who's come back and done a fantastic job. You add all of these up, and suddenly that Arsenal team looks absolutely
And
fantastic.
Fabio
But,
Villa. Once they
that's
add
that's
Fabio Villa, they're cooking.
but but City look like they're going to win the league. But I mean, Newcastle, could they get top six? I mean, it's a big ask, big ask, and you have to keep the likes of Callum Wilson fit. But if you can keep Callum Wilson fit, and you've got Botman, you've got experience in there, Trippier, look fantastic
They're
right back.
signing.
Oh, that
They've
free
just
kick,
signed
man.
Joao
Oh,
Pedro
please.
from Watford as well. So
Yeah.
Callum Wilson does get injured.
Yeah,
I think they do need to sign another winger. I think a right winger definitely, because, like I said, Alan said Maximin's good on the left. I think then Richie on the right, which, no offense, he's not going to get you European football, not a single chance. I mean,
it's a fair comment.
I do think if they do get a right winger, I think they're definitely challenging for Europe, and they'll definitely take probably 6 or 7. I said 7 for the prediction. So.
I heard they're also getting Kone from Mönchengladbach, who's a very, very good midfielder.
That is good side. That is a very good side. Yeah.
You're looking for
Bruno.
Kone as well.
You've got Bruno Guimaraes, haven't you?
Guimaraes.
He fantastic player. He is.
He's a baller, man.
And Joe
Best
Linton
player
as
in my
well
top
in that
six.
midfield.
Yeah, Joe Linton in that
And Nick
midfield.
Pope.
I mean,
Yeah, Joe
Joe Linton under
Joe Linton's got like a
was
little region from stuff.
so used inappropriately. But also Eddie Howe, and this is why I do actually rate Eddie Howe as a manager. He's seen something that Joe Linton can do, and he's gone, I'm going to put you in central midfield. And it turned out to be an absolute tactical masterclass. Do you think Eddie Howe was just waiting for the right job? Because I struggle to believe he was out of work for so long, because what he achieved at Bournemouth, getting them up from leagues to one championship, Premier League for 5, 6, 7 years, that was incredible. Or do you think that was done on purpose so that he could learn? Because from what I've understood, he spent a lot of time studying the game, watching a load of training sessions, being around different parts of Europe to get a feel for how others do it. Do you think that Eddie Howe was just waiting for this right job? Because I find it unfathomable that he was out of work for so long.
There's a reason why I was telling Eddie Howe should be England manager when he wasn't in the job, because he's playing that stuff. And I want to say this up. So many people need to apologize to Eddie Howe for saying, "Oh, he only done well because Newcastle got the new owners. They spent money." Like, no, that's not the reason. Look who Newcastle bought. They bought players that no one was really after, barring Bruno Guimaraes, because no one wanted Chris Wood, no one wanted Matt Target, no one wanted those players.
United wanted Trippier, and I'm starting to wonder if United made a big mistake not
They
trying to get
made a
Trippier.
big mistake not getting him. And look how you can see their style of football. And I think for me, either 6th or 5th, because West Ham right now are looking ropies right now. Leicester.
There is a space available. I mean, we do, and I'll let RJ and Matt just finish up on this before we wrap up. But there is a space available, because as Velv just really mentioned there, West Ham are looking on the ropes already. I mean, they're looking in a bit of trouble. Leicester have not really recovered after a couple of seasons now. So there is a spot available. I mean, if we just assume that United, Arsenal, Liverpool, City, Chelsea, and Spurs, I mean, there's an argument to say Chelsea are in a bit of danger. It's fair to say Liverpool could be in a spot of danger if they keep getting injuries. are we going to see a shock? Do any of you want to say a shock? Well, not just say it because you feel, but do anyone feel that we could potentially see a shock team not getting to Europe? If so, which team is that going to be?
I could see us not getting Europe.
What was that, Matt?
I could see us not getting Europe. If
Really?
I know. Yeah.
Out of all the teams, so else.
Could you not see us not getting Europe?
I think either I was thinking Chelsea, because the reason why I would say Chelsea is because the relationship between Thomas Tuchel and essentially attackers has gone really south for the last few seasons, and I think you look at Havertz, he's not firing. You're looking at Hudson-Odoi, he's nowhere to be seen. Mount rarely shows up. Then you look at that midfield, right? They haven't improved it. Kante just got injured. Kovacic is injured. They have to rely on Jorginho. Look, as good as your man was, what's his name, Gallagher was for Crystal Palace, he's not good enough for that.
He doesn't suit the system.
Right?
He doesn't suit the system.
The defenders, they haven't got the replacement for both Rudiger and Christensen, right? Obviously, both players were good. They got Koulibaly, who I think was an okay replacement for Rudiger, but they didn't get another one. So, and they're trying to get Fofana for like 72 million or 80 mil, which I think is a mistake. If I'm really honest with you, lads, he's not worth that money. The Leicester are rejecting him, which is stupid again. I mean, it's crazy. But I would say Chelsea. If I'm really, I know that would piss off a certain Chelsea fan who I've upset because of my predictions. Who weirdly cried like a baby, which I was like, it's just prediction. But yeah, I think Chelsea, if I had to make them, because they're not scoring a lot and they're letting in too much.
Hold on. Which Chelsea fan is RJ just taking a pop out?
It's Charl. I think it's Charl.
No. It's not. I'll DM you. I'll DM you.
Okay. Velv. So Matt's gone United could be the shock to not get into Europe.
I think we will. I just think if there is a team to not, I think it would.
Yeah.
I think we will.
Okay. RJ seems to think it could be Chelsea. Do you think we'll see a team not make Europe this season? If so, which one? And before you say 14 other teams, I will batter you.
Tyrone Mings.
Here's the thing. I feel like once Curtis Jones comes back to that midfield, I think we'll be fine.
I'm not expecting you to say Liverpool, but
yeah,
if you see it, if there was a team not to make the European spaces, who would it be in replacement for Newcastle? Because we have to assume if Newcastle get in, one of the top six ain't getting in.
I have the most controversial team that people. I'm gonna get attacked for this.
Say it.
I think Spurs will finish.
Jesus Christ!
I'll tell you why.
Quickly.
What if Spurs go on a bad run of form? The relationship between Conte and Levi, what's his name? Levy, I don't know his name. Levy is gonna go south, and we know about Conte's second season. If he doesn't get what he wants and he doesn't deliver what he wants, it's gonna be toxic. And I feel like if he leaves, then Spurs will go south. And I personally think the Spurs team currently is overrated. I don't think it's good.
I think it's an interesting one. I understand your points of view there. If there's a few bad results coming in, will Conte still get the backing of Levy? I think it would be stupid not to. But then you've got to ask, will the players try and chuck him under a bus? I mean, it's a brave one to say Spurs, but I can sort of get it. But
I think basing off their performance against Wolves, I think you can definitely say that. To be fair, they were horrendous against Wolves.
Because with
I don't know if but they just about won. Like Wolves just didn't take their chances. But when you look at them, they just weren't good enough. And I was surprised. I was like, Kane, you better score about 20 goals, mate, or else we're gonna have a little argument here. And well, he didn't, so we did have an argument. So
I always thought this game would be fairly tight. The Spurs Wolves one, I did think it was going to be fairly tight, just because of how Wolves set up. It's not really a team that gets carved open by 4 or 5-0. They're quite compact. They're very defensive, and they know what they're doing. And I
not to
did think this
mention-
would be a tough game for them.
And not to mention, their new sign was an absolute unit in that midfield. Like, he just dominated that entire midfield. He did, like I said, I think.
Mateus Nunes.
Yes, Mateus Nunes.
Oh, don't mention his name. We were linked with him.
I mean, you're linked with like half the nation, so is us. So I mean, it doesn't really matter. That's so.
But we are going to wrap it up there because I think an hour and 20 really has to be max. But we are going to wrap it up there, guys. We'll be back tomorrow with This Week in F1. Which is me, Charl, maybe Chris. I need to speak to him. We're going to be talking about Oscar Piastri looking like he's joining McLaren. We're going to talk about the future of Daniel Ricciardo at McLaren. We're going to talk about the title race between Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. We're also going to preview Spa, which looks like it could be chucking it down with rain again. Oh boy, remember what happened last season when Spa was wet. We got 2 laps in. That's what happened last race. So that'll be a really good one this week in F1. On Thursday we have got the MMA or the combat show. I think you two probably going to be talking. Yeah, on Thursday. That's what I said.
All right.
And I think you two are going to be reviewing the Joshua fight, aren't you?
Yeah. So I'll go through it during the ending. So yeah.
This is the ending, Roger.
Oh no, yeah, but when we're saying our little, gets and all that stuff. So
yeah, that's fine. But yeah, so we got that. Then Friday weekly preview, and I'll try and get another video out. If you haven't checked out the video that I made mid-season review for the Formula One, do check that out. And those types of videos will improve with time. That was a very rushed one that wasn't the greatest, and there was a few mistakes in there, but those videos will get better the more I do them. But guys, before you do go, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you want to become a member of the channel, you can. All the stuff's down below, so make sure you check that out. Also, you can check out our new merchandise store. That should also be linked down below as well. If you haven't checked that out, please do. And of course, we'll try and improve that sort of thing, although I am limited on designs at the moment. But RJ, where can they find you, mate?
Yeah, you can find me on all social medias. We're by Jaguar. You'll find me with Matt and Jamie on Thursday. I believe it's 6 p.m. again. We're doing the combat show number 2. We will be reviewing Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Usyk, the fight. We're also reviewing the event of UFC 278, and we'll be doing KSI's event on Saturday, which will be a good little fun one to do. And last but not least, like I said, one that we'll be doing with the fans, seeing if we can get some, is a tier list of the top 15 GOATs of MMA. So yeah, that's our plan. So like I said, it's going to be a fun one, a lot of discussion, a lot of arguments, a lot of controversy, because I think Matt won't like me after it, so we might have a little bicker. So like I said, make sure you do join it. It's going to be a good bit of crack, and thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, and This Week in F1 at 8 p.m. tomorrow. I forgot to mention that. I think it's 8 p.m. 8 p.m. seems like a good time. Matt, where can they find you, mate?
MJWS6921 on Twitter, and on Thursdays on that combat show. There's enough ideas. RJ's put out enough ideas for the next
If we show the DMs, lads, trust me, it's funny. We have some funny ideas as well.
Love that. And Velv, where can we find you?
You can find me on loan to Southampton, because I'm now a Southampton fan. Up the Saints, up Hassan Tutul. James Ward-Prowse for England. Let's go, lads.
Love that. As I said, back tomorrow with This Week in F1, 8 p.m. tomorrow, and plenty of other things coming. I'm sure we'll get around to doing something for the transfer window. We won't be live for it. That I can't be bothered with, but we will probably do some sort of transfer special, try and get some of the gang to talk about what United need to do in the last week of the window, what Chelsea need to do. I think there's a few teams that need to strengthen, but we'll come up with something. But until next time, thanks for watching, guys, and peace out.